Hey everyone. Today I want to talk about clues that your business might be sending you that you have a secret fear of success. And content warning, trigger warning, I am going to talk a little bit about trauma, specifically the trauma of being in an abusive relationship and societal oppression type, gender, racial, glass ceilings type stuff. So if that is too much for today, skip this one, no problem. So this one has been inspired because this coming month, March 2024, in the squad, our theme for the month is doing a deep dive on pricing our offers. And the blocks that people are experiencing when it comes to charging appropriately for their work, saying the price they value their work at monetarily in exchange, they're primarily hang up for pricing appropriately, telling people the price, selling the offer is not really tactical or business or systems. It's really emotional, and it really goes back to people's trauma histories a lot of the time. So I wanted to do a bit of a share about what I've unpacked about my own fear of success, which I honestly did not realize I had. I was like, who's afraid of success? I've got these big lofty goals. I'm working towards them. Like, I don't have a fear of success, but I did, and I do have a bit of an unconscious one. And I wanted to walk you through how I'm piecing it together that I did have a secret fear of success, and how that secret fear of success was manifesting in my business, particularly around issues like pricing, scope of work, boundaries. You probably get where this is going. Okay, so like I said, I really didn't think I had a fear of success for a long time. I've always been pretty driven, pretty goal-oriented. I've got big dreams. I've got big goals. I'm really proud of my business. I'm really proud of myself and the skills I have learned. But unfortunately, in my life, I have had the experience of abusive relationships, both in terms of romantic partnerships, at least 2, maybe 3 abusive relationships, and family of origin, and have been recommended by several therapists to learn about narcissistic abuse for reasons. And so I have been on a little bit of a healing girl era this year and learning more about the cycle of abuse, narcissistic abuse, and typical characteristics. And one of the typical characteristics of narcissistic abuse that jumped out to me was that narcissistic individuals are not happy for you when something good happens to you, and are likely to punish you either overtly through like a jealous rage you can't miss, like yelling, screaming, or more covertly through subtle mechanisms of undermining or giving you kind of a negative reinforcement for your success. And that really rang true for individuals that were close to me in my life. I've definitely had some formative relationships where I remember telling friends, like, I feel like they prefer me when I am sick or having a meltdown. Like, they pick fights with me when I'm happy. It's like they don't like me when I'm happy. They feel most comfortable, most loving when something really rough is going down for me. And for a while, I was like, that can't be right. Who would just be happy when you're a mess and not happy when you're happy, healthy, and confident? And then the more I learned about abuse dynamics and specifically narcissistic abuse, I learned that this was actually a very typical trait for individuals that suffer from narcissism, and a very typical characteristic for narcissistically abusive relationships. So if you have had that in your life, A, I'm sorry, and B, I hope your insight doesn't just stop at that sucked, because it did sucked, but I want you to look at how it affected you. So if you were repeatedly punished, love is withdrawn, you're yelled at, you are insulted, demeaned, undermined, you're taken down a peg when something good happens to you, you achieve something, you accomplish something. That is all negative reinforcement. So you are being actively punished for when something good happens to you, etc., etc. You learned that you are loved less, you are accepted less, you are more likely to experience rejection, abandonment, aggression when good stuff happens to you, when you succeed, when you are empowered. So, if you have had a similar experience, that probably affected you, because our brilliant unconscious minds want to keep us safe. So if it is not safe to be successful, if it is not safe to be big, if it is not safe to win, then our comfort zone, if like with this person that was formative in me growing up, if I would not be safe unless I was sick, unless I was having a meltdown, unless I was small, unless I needed help, unless I was a victim, then it makes sense that I would find a sense of safety in embodying those roles, in going super victim and going super helpless and like, I just can't help myself. Whatever shall I do? I need someone to rescue me. And I'm actually going to chide myself for being self-deprecating there, because it makes sense. If you are like physically or emotionally not safe to share wins, then it makes sense that you'd be more comfortable expressing losses, more comfortable inhabiting a role where you're always just kind of on the struggle bus, because it makes you less threatening to abusers. So, this is not just something that I think people who have had interpersonal relationship, like romantic relationship, family trauma around abuse deal with. I also think this is something that people who are in any sort of marginalized identity group have had to struggle with in institutions and systems that were built specifically to keep us out, built specifically to pay us less. So in squad today, we were talking a little bit about this. We have several wonderful women of color in the squad, and we're talking about how through things that are still very prevalent to this day and have been dramatic for most of our lifetimes, stuff like the gender wage gap, the racial wage gap, the implicit message we've been given is that our work is literally worth less than our male peers, than our white colleagues. We are told our work is literally worth less. And if we ask for more, we might be punished in the form of reprimands, loss of acceptance and belonging in the company, or even getting fired, or as happened to me, to be praised and praised and praised and praised until you ask for compensation to meet how awesome they're telling you are, and then only to have them tell, oh, you're getting a little bit too big for your britches there, even though you're still being paid less than your male and white colleagues. This is also an extreme form of negative reinforcement, that you are not allowed to ask for what you are worth, that you are not allowed to claim your accomplishments without being punished. So if you have any sort of marginalized identity, you probably have some subconscious programming around not allowed to ask for what you really want. You won't be given what you really want. And if you demand it, you will be punished. Painful things will happen, like rejection, abandonment, aggression, pushback. Sound familiar? So, what happens when people like us, who have spent lifetimes being alternately praised and punished for our brilliances and our successes, told we are not allowed to fully claim them, punished for our wins, punished for asking for more? What happens then when we become entrepreneurs, when we go into businesses for ourselves and we are told to name our price for what it costs to work with us, when we have to come up with the boundaries around the scope of work we're willing to provide, when we are setting up our systems for payment processing, when we are deciding, are we going to charge late fees, are we going to give refunds, is when we decide what is within the offer we're offering and what is outside of there, when we are deciding how much to offer, when we're deciding who to work with. What happens when we open businesses? We get really triggered. It is so common. We get triggered because name our price. What do you mean? We've never been allowed to. We've always been punished for asking for what we really want. What do you mean we're allowed to now? There's some stuff to unpack there. And then a big fear is, what if someone says we're too expensive? And why is that scary? Is it the other person, or is it because we have internalized all those things we've been told our whole lives about how we're not as good as we think we are? We are not worthy of getting our wants met. We are not even worthy of getting our needs met unless we are really grinding ourselves into the ground. That's some painful stuff to look at. And a lot of us don't. We think our fear is based on the other person who might consider our products or offers too expensive. But really the fear, I think, is based internally. Like, do you not think you're worthy of getting what you want? Do you think you're not worthy of asking for fair compensation? Are you terrified of how you will internalize someone else's words about the value of your work and the value of yourself as a person? Are we worried also, as we navigate things like pricing, what goes in our offer, what's outside of our offer, who we're willing to serve, who we're not? Are we worried if we really ask, like, I think this work is at least $5,000 worth of benefit to the company. My body freaks out at the thought of telling anyone the price is $5,000. So what if I price it at $1,500? And then I work really hard and I'm, grinding and everything's still hard for me. I'm having trouble affording my bills and I'm tired all the time and I'm exhausted. Is that because unconsciously you think you will be more acceptable to people if you keep yourself in a situation that keeps you on the struggle bus? That is safer than asking for and possibly getting paid the $5,000 for that same project. Because if you get that $5,000 for the same project and they say yes, and you're not on the struggle bus, you're not having to scrape by, you can pay all your bills and afford some other stuff because you're charging other people $5,000 and more for similar amounts of work. Are you worried you will be punished? Are you worried that in a state of fulfillment, of abundance, of restedness, of spaciousness, of ease, of getting enough sleep, of having fun, are you worried that the other shoe is going to drop and you're going to be devastated by a punishment? And that will endanger you. Charging the real price will endanger you more than charging a fifth of the value of it to the company, hurting yourself financially and being exhausted and burnt out. Do you think there's something in there where you think struggle bus option is actually the safer one because you've had such a history of being punished for asking for what an actually fair exchange, or for celebrating a win? Oh, this is stuff to unpack with your therapist. Write in your journal to meditate about, because this is painful to look at. It's painful to look at, and I bet you if you're in my audience, if you've been following my work, if the stuff I'm saying in my marketing has been resonating with you, I bet you've got some similar baggage. And I'm not pointing the finger at you like I have this baggage. I'm going to be real. Like, I think because I have such an extensive history of abuse and being punished for being too big, too empowered, too not helpless, that in some ways I gravitate towards struggle busdom, towards victimhoods, to be considered safer, less intimidating, more acceptable, less likely to be rejected. And I am currently working to unpack, unspool, and unravel that. Okay. So, looking at my notes here. All right. Here's another one. If you have a similar history of abuse or being in a marginalized identity in an institution that was not built for you, You also probably have a lot of baggage around being told or being able to say no. So if you've ever dated a narcissist or you have one in your family, you know they hate the word no. You know they absolutely hate it. They will fight you on it. You will be punished. It will not be pretty when you say the word no. You know, if your boss is of a particular variety, you don't have a lot of wiggle room to tell them no without your livelihood being in trouble. So both of these are physical safety issues. If you are in relationship with an abuser, or even if it's emotional abuse, that still affects your health. I bet you know that, my chronic pain babies. Or if you are in like a corporate institutional setting and you can't say no without having your livelihood threatened, like livelihood goes back to, can you feed yourself? Can you shelter yourself? Like lowest level of hierarchy of needs, right? This all goes to safety. So if you have a similar trauma history, there have been many times in your life where it was absolutely not safe to say no. And so what happens when you go into business and you have to do things like come up with an offer? What is included? What is not? What is within the scope of work? What is not? So then you have a client that's like, could I also get XYZ? And I bet a lot of you grumble about it, drink about it, resent them about it, and still do it. That is not going to be sustainable long term. You're going to hate it. You're going to hate your business. So we have to first unspool why it's scary to let them know no. And then for me, it's helped to come up with scripts because I know saying no is challenging for me. Like I was working with someone in squad today and I challenged this fabulous person to journal. Like, someone asks you for extra work, so what will you say? It can be really simple. You can just be like, I'm afraid that's out of scope of the work for this current project. If you don't want to take on more work or if you don't want to do it, you can just be like, I'm afraid that's out of scope of our contract. If you do want to do it, you can be like, I'm afraid that's out of scope for our current contract. I'd be happy to take on the additional work for XYZ amount of additional fees. A deposit is due immediately if you wish to book me for this. Yeah, because if our whole life we had to hone skills to stay safe from dangerous people who did not want us to be empowered, who wanted to control us, who did not like our agency, it makes sense that we put a lot of effort into developing skills to keep us safe in these situations and to pacify the other person. We are not in the same situation anymore as our own boss, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. We get to say no now. It will be hard for us, obviously, because we don't have a lot of practice with it because it wasn't safe for us to say no in so many of our previous circumstances. So things like talking it out, getting feedback from a trusted source, journaling, giving yourself scripts so you're prepared for how to say no in the future, putting protections into your contract or your terms of service and disclaimers, like what about refunds, what about late fees, what happens when they no-show a meeting, what if they don't get you the material you need on time to do the project, and deciding how you want to respond in advance is real helpful here. And if you don't have any of that and you think you're more on the side of, oh, I can't believe they asked me that, but you do it anyway, I highly encourage you to do some unpacking around this particular issue and get yourself a good community, get yourself a good mentor that can help you establish other ways to respond in these situations. Okay. So how else might this show up? We'll just talk about strictly business stuff where your fear of success, your secret fear of success that you might not know you have, might be showing up. So that's a big one. If clients are often asking you to do more work than what you agree to in your contract, and you do it anyway, that's a clue that you have a secret fear of success to do some thinking about, some healing around. If you don't have policies in place, like do you offer refunds? Are there late fees? Are parts of the project delayed or canceled if they're not getting you the information you need on time? You can set those rules. If you are overwhelmingly terrified of what will happen if you get trolls in your comments on your social media marketing, have you thought through how you want to handle it? Are we going to mute them? Are we going to delete them? Are we going to respond to them? How are we going to block them? Are we going to make an example? You get to choose. You have agency, and you get to think about it beforehand. You do not just have to respond to shitty things other people do. You can decide how you want to handle it before it ever happens. Okay, another way fear of success might be showing up in your business is offering too much, both in terms of like opening your business with 36 offers like I did, which I would not recommend. It's really hard to market 36 offers. Make it easier on yourself, simplify. Or in terms of just letting more and more get stuffed into the thing you're offering in the first place, or stuffing too much of yourself into the thing you're offering in the first place. A little quick gut check I like to do to see if I'm doing this is to ask myself whenever I'm marketing an offer, if someone bought this tomorrow, would I feel A, woohoo, happy, excited, enthusiastic, energetic? Or would I feel exhausted, overwhelmed, tired, can't imagine summoning the energy to actually fulfill it? Just low down, discouraged, drained. If it's the low down, discouraged, drained, you either need to significantly up that price so you no longer feel so tired and exhausted at the thought of fulfilling it, or you need to edit down that offer so it's an amount of work that doesn't stress you out and you're actually excited to show up and do. Okay. If you're burnt out in your business, the business you designed and opened yourself following all your own rules, and you designed it, the offers, the people you're serving, your capacity, how much you're taking on at once, how much you're getting paid for it. If those things that you all got to determine on your own with your own rules have left you burnt out, exhausted, and hating your business, that's a big clue that we have a secret fear of success to look at. Because we're keeping ourselves on the struggle bus. Because we have the option to price it so we're not constantly terrified about money or struggling financially, or needing to take on like 80 clients at once to meet our bills and our basic living expenses. We have the option to price it so it's not so hard and we don't have to work so hard. We have the option to shape our offers so it's not an insane, unbearable, super heavy amount of work on us to fulfill those offers, and still give great value. If we designed our business so that clients are constantly like violating our boundaries, asking us to go out of the scope of work, haggling over prices, not paying on time, we had some agency there as well. Maybe we need some more clarity about who we are best suited to serve, who are our most aligned clients, and who are not good fits. Maybe we have some more specificity and more specific boundaries around what we do and don't do. What are the consequences when things are late or aren't given to us on time, or people no-show for their meetings, that can go in the contract that you can explain in your sales call, like, this is what you're agreeing to when you're working with me. We can put all of that in place so we don't have so much conflicts or awkward conversations or disputes with people who are benefiting from our labor and our expertise and our experience. So, if you're struggling with those things, like you're always doing so much work and you never feel like you're making enough money, you're constantly resentful of your clients, you're burnt out a lot, you're not sure how you're going to pay your rent next month or your bills, I think it's highly, especially if you have any history with abusive relationships, especially if you inhabit any sort of marginalized identity and have been in workplaces where you'd be actively punished for speaking up about that experience, noticing the disparity between how you're treated and majority group identity colleagues are treated or paid. I bet there's some stuff to unpack in here around a secret fear of success and how it is manifesting in your business, keeping you on the struggle bus, keeping you small and less threatening. And then it's stuff we have to look at and stuff we have to address to get to the point where we decide to find safety in a different way, where we decide to reject the people who would reject us for being big. Let them go. They aren't our people anymore. Our people, our aligned clients, the people who deserve to be in our inner circles in our personal lives, are not going to be threatened by your wins. They're not going to be threatened by your success. They're not going to want you to be smaller. They're not going to want you to be dependent. They are going to be thrilled and exult in your bigness, in your empowerment, in your agency, in your trust for yourself, in your confidence, and your claiming the value of what you do with your whole chest, with you being expensive as fuck if you want to be, being as expensive as you want so that you can serve joyfully, you can do your work joyfully, you can serve your people joyfully without resentment, because you are finally getting a fair exchange for your labor and for your gifts. All right, if any of that resonated, I would love to hear your thoughts. Leave them in the comments, send me a DM. If you would like some more support around this kind of emotional trauma history side of stuff that can come up and throw a monkey wrench in our business, I would love to be your marketing confidence cheerleader. You can join the squad, which is just my favorite place in the world right now. It's such a good community. Info and link in bio. Feel free to DM me with any questions. And I do have a special going on right now for my brand storytelling package. So if you're one of those folks that where your fear of success is really showing up in you having a hard time knowing what to say in your marketing, not knowing how to explain the results or the transformation your customers can expect from investing in your product or service or working with you, if you're worried about sounding disingenuous or salesy, if you just don't know what to say, then you're going to want to come see me. Get the brand storytelling package where I will give you a messaging framework with the literal words for how to explain the brand, the offer, the value, the transformation, everything. It's basically the just add water for your brand. It's going to make all of marketing so much easier. Your sales pages, your content marketing, your ad copy, your press releases, you're sending your bio off to that conference you got invited to speak at. You launching your podcast, like you'll have the actual language for the magic of what you do. You'll know exactly what to do, what to say to sell. It comes with a great strategy session for brand storytelling before I put together a messaging framework, which you get up to 3 versions of. So we make sure that it's something you absolutely love and you'll be using for years to come. Also, it's really awesome because then you don't have to onboard anybody you bring on as much. I've had clients tell me that this messaging framework cut the onboarding time in half for people like VAs, copywriters, social media managers, designers that you're bringing on for marketing and creative support. Because instead of having to explain all this stuff and come up with the words again and be like, do you get it? And keep everybody on the same page, you just give everybody this messaging framework. Easy peasy. It's so nice. It saves you so much time. You also get an integration session with me after we get your messaging framework to a place where you are absolutely in love with it and your messaging, so you're not flying blind on how to implement it in your marketing and onboarding and training processes moving forward. And I have a special going on. This brand storytelling package is actually my most popular service ever, but I realized I've literally never marketed it before. So in celebration of marketing it for the first time, I have prizes that are really nice for the first 3 people to check out. So first prize is you, in addition to the brand storytelling package, at no additional charge, you will win a website checkup valued at $500 where we will look at your existing website and give you a really streamlined, here's the pages you need, here's some revisions you might want to make it user, search, and lead generation optimized according to your business goals. And you also get 2 pages worth of copywriting, expert copywriting, valued at $900 each. So you can either get me to write 2 sales pages for you or a sales page and about page. So that is the prize for the first person to check out the brand storytelling package, that you get all of that, the website checkup and the 2 pages, 2 copywritten pages at no additional charge. Second person to check out gets the website checkout and either a sales page or an about page that I'll write for you, your choice. Third person to check out gets the website checkout. So these are going to go fast. First come, first serve for these prizes. These prizes are gone when they're gone. Well, you can still, pay full price if you want the services, but yeah, they're gone when they're gone. So link for that is also in my bio. Check it out. DM me with any questions. All right, love you. Bye.